Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kaleidoscope of the Arts and Sleuthing Eye-Opening Tales of the Past. I'm sorry, I'm doing my own teching in the background. I'm crazy. This is Marie LaBrosse. I'm show host today of Sleuthing Eye-Opening Tales of the Past, and I would like to remind everybody you're listening to WKDW's 97.5 FM Rural Community Radio coming out of Northport, Florida from the Bishop West Real Estate Tower. And I am so pleased today to let everybody know that my guest is Jennifer Huber. She's the voice behind Solo Travel Girl. She's an award-winning travel and outdoor blogger and writer in Southwest Florida. When not traveling, she is either in the kitchen, practicing her photography skills, road tripping with her dog, Radcliffe. So, as I'm doing all my teching back here, I want to bring to the stage my guest, my friend, and a person that I've admired no matter whether she's lost weight or not. She's a wonderful person, Jennifer Huber.
Hi,
Hey,
Marie.
Jen.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. And the reason that we're having you come on today is we want your story with no editing of your Mounjaro travel. And before we even talk about that, I want to talk about who you are for our audience to know what you've done in your past, because where are you originally from?
I'm from upstate New York. I'm from the outside of Buffalo in Western New York, and I have been saying that a hiking trail led me down a career path into the tourism industry where I worked for about 30 years or so.
And when you did that, where were you? You ended up being a park ranger, were you?
I wasn't a park ranger. I spent 10 years working for a National Park Service contractor, a concessionaire company. So I spent, 10 years in 3 different national parks. My first one was Yellowstone. And then I also spent time in the Everglades and then Death Valley. So Yellowstone was first, and I don't know, I lose track of time, 5, 6, 7 seasons/years, mostly summers and winter. And then I spent a year and a half in Death Valley. It's a dry heat in the summertime. It's still hot. And then 3 final years in the Everglades with 2 seasons before that.
When you were in the Everglades, because it's so different from being out west, from
Mm.
you know, alligators, snakes, that kind of stuff bother you?
I learned to live with them because I have to remember that really it's the animals' homes compared to us humans coming in. And it was interesting because in the national parks, you really can't kill the animals, including rodents that might get into your cabin. So, like in Yellowstone, the hantavirus was a concern and that's something that's carried in rodents droppings. So there was kind of exceptions there, but basically pest control was to get them out of the dwellings rather than necessarily killing them. So in the Everglades, it wasn't necessarily spraying to kill the mosquitoes in the morning, in the afternoon. It was just to put an oil on them and lay them down. And then as the sun came out, it dried that oil off their wings, and then they can go fly about. And there was over 30 or 40 different species of mosquitoes in the Everglades, but it's only the females that bite. So that's
Oh,
comforting.
good to
Yeah.
know. Good to know. So, yeah, and mosquitoes are a pest, and they carry different types of diseases
Yes.
also.
Yeah, they sure can.
Now, also, because I've known you for a long time, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we've been friends. For our audience to know, Jennifer are personally friends off stage here,
Yes.
and we've done a few things together. And because of different reasons, I've been ill for the last year and a half, so I haven't been able to go with Jennifer to too many things. But hopefully soon I will. Let's talk about your solo travel girl.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
tell me how you got into the blogging world, because for our audience, I know I read the description of what Jennifer does, but Jennifer is one of the top bloggers in the US, aren't you, for traveling?
Oh, thank you. Yes, I have been up to the top, but it's always rotating and shifting, and that's totally fine because I think it's important to get the next generation of content creators up there. And so I do like mentoring and helping those people along. And, sometimes I guess they don't call it travel blogging anymore. Maybe travel blogging is ancient, so to say, but I still consider myself a travel blogger. It could be kind of competitive, but there's enough room for everyone. But the way that I got into it, I started writing on the web, blogging back in the early 2000s. And I did it as a way to stay connected with family and friends because I was living in different parts of the country. And along the way, I met friends along the way. So I just started writing online, and it was before anyone knew what a blog was. I didn't know what a blog was. I just knew that I had a website and I was writing on there. And then after that, I started a lifestyle blog called Quirky Kitsch Girl. I think that was like in 2004, 2005. And then I was living in Sarasota, and then eventually I moved up to Tallahassee, and I was starting to write a lot about travel, and I was writing about Tallahassee. And then I started to understand about analytics, and I noticed that a lot of people were coming into my website to learn more about Tallahassee. So I started a Tallahassee specific blog, and it was neat because I got to meet all sorts of people, and different publications were linking up with me. And mind you, this was like 2006 and 2007. And to me, I thought everyone should have a Tallahassee blog, or everyone should have a blog. But at that time, there were hardly any Tallahassee blogs at that time. So I kind of stood out. And then eventually and I was writing for different content websites. One was eventually acquired by Yahoo. So I was considered a feature travel writer for Yahoo after that acquisition. And so I learned how to write for the web, and then I decided to launch my own travel blog, which was Solo Travel Girl. And I did that for various reasons. One reason, I was out west in Sonoma Valley taking a wine tour, and I was in the back of the van, and people were coupled up, or they were with family members, or they were with friends. And this woman said to me, "Oh, you're traveling alone? Aren't you lonely?" And I said, "No, it's great." And she's like, "Oh, I could never do that." And I'm like, "Well, I get to set my own schedule. I get to do things that I want to do, and it's really a form of empowerment when I'm traveling alone, not lonely." And then I did have different aspects of my life, significant moments, I guess you can say. In 2008, my former husband, he passed away unexpectedly at the age of 43. And that was really a gut punch, so to say. Even though that we were, had been divorced, we were still in touch. And his death was very unexpected. And to me, that was just a kind of a time to reevaluate my life and really grasp how short life is, and that I'm not going to let things hold me back from doing the things that I want to do. So that was a big motivation to do that, to launch Solo Travel Girl. So I had that incident in Sonoma Valley with the traveling alone, not lonely, and then with my former husband passing away, and just all sorts of other things kind of pushed me in the direction of Solo Travel Girl.
Well, I appreciate your solo travel girl, because I travel through your posts and what you're doing out there. And you do on your Facebook page, you take a lot of pictures and videos and that, and you go to places that I've never been in the state or around the world. And I know that you've traveled even on I think it was a Viking River cruise that they paid for you to come over and blog about them. And I know that you've gone other places that they bring you there so you will blog about it. Correct?
Yes, certainly that was before the pandemic. Obviously, the pandemic has changed things, and change is scary, but change is also good. Yeah, I've been hosted on 2 Viking River cruises. The first one, a friend of mine was supposed to go with me, but her father became ill, so I didn't have anyone else to go with. So I decided that I was just going to carry on by myself. And at first, I was sad that I didn't have anyone to go with, but it ended up being the most wonderful experience that I could have imagined. It was 10 days on the Douro River in Portugal. That's wine country. By the end of the trip, I probably met all 125 passengers on that ship. I'm still friends with some of the people on that ship, and it was just a wonderful experience. When you're traveling alone, I think you have a better chance of meeting other people and connecting with other people because you're not distracted by someone else. Certainly when you're with someone else, you can meet other people, because when I took that second Viking River cruise, I took my sister with me, and it was a Christmas market cruise of Germany. And that was, bucket list opportunity. And it was wonderful and magical and enchanting. And my sister and I were still friends with some people that we met on that cruise as well. So, but I think when you're traveling solo, there's different opportunities to perhaps try out different personalities of yourself, so to say. Not that you have multiple personalities, but you can maybe be more of yourself because you don't have this fear that you're going to be judged by people, because you probably won't see these other people again unless you become friends with them down the road. But yeah, pre-pandemic, I was invited on several press trips, and I've been to Thailand as a guest of the Kingdom of Thailand, and I spent several days there. I have been to France as well, to Marseille, France, as the guest of the France tourism office. I've been to several destinations within the United States, and I guess my last trip was actually during the pandemic. I went over to DeLand, Florida, which is up in kind of northeast Florida, to West Volusia County, and I had a ball over there. They have this a wings trail, and they have what's called the Cool Craft Trail. They have different bars and coffee shops and just different places where you can grab a beverage, whether it's a non-alcoholic beverage or an alcoholic beverage. And the reason why tourism offices do that is, I don't know if people realize this, but when you're reading a magazine, reading an article about a travel destination, it probably didn't happen because a travel editor said, "Hey, I think it's time that we write about such and such location." It's probably because there was a PR person, public relations person, pitching that idea to a publication, or pitching that idea to a travel writer, and then magic happens, so to say, whether the writer comes out and they're hosted on a trip and they're shown things. So that's why,
I know that at one time when you worked for the travel bureau here in Charlotte County, I actually did a trolley tour with some of the bloggers that you brought in one time, because I used to do trolley tours just in case the world out there doesn't know that.
Those are fun.
And that was actually, no, I didn't take your group. It was another group I took on the ghost tour, that we were actually in costumes, and I had actors out there along the way. So those are always fun. But Jennifer, you always find the greatest places to go, and that's how I know about those places, because I follow your blog, and I also follow articles if you do write some out there. And you were saying that you learned the technique. What did you go to college for?
I started out as a communications major. I wanted to be I wanted to go into like criminal justice, and I wanted to be a forensic photographer. That was my initial goal. And then I kind of eased off that and wanted to be a communications major, journalism in that. But then after my first summer in Yellowstone, I changed majors and I became an earth science major. So I have a degree in earth science. Rocks and dirt.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you write so well. You're very articulate. Yeah, you're articulate. I enjoy reading your articles. They're very descriptive, and you always have pictures with them. And for those that don't read, you can look at the pictures, right?
Yeah, pictures, and then I'm leading more into video, because for years when I was in tourism marketing, I heard for 5 or 6 years, video is so important. Video is so important, but no one was creating video because it was so cumbersome. And you have a separate video camera, then you got to download it to your computer, then you need the editing software. But now with smartphones, it is so easy to create visual content, videos.
Right. And what we're using right now, StreamYard, it does
Yeah,
it all for you, and
I
you
know,
can
so
clip
awesome.
it. You can clip it and do whatever you want. They've come so far just for people to realize what our uh, uh, platform is right now. It's StreamYard. If you want to go join it, there's a free version of it that you can play around with it, but you can even do webinars with it. You can pre-record everything. Right now we're live, but you can pre-record and then post it to your social media pages and that. But just for people to realize. And if you've just tuned in, you're listening to Marie LaBrosse with her guest, Jennifer Huber, solo travel girl, on WKDW 97.5 FM Real Community Radio out of Northport, Florida. And I would like to say, I don't know how you're doing that, Jen. You're responding to people on the side.
Yeah.
And when's your birthday?
It was yesterday, May 1st.
Okay, so we have different people saying happy birthday, and you've already responded to them. But and I'd like to do a shout out to a few people. Why don't you do them, Jen? Because you can see the ones coming up. Can you see all the comments that are coming up on the side for us?
Yeah, it's a Melissa H wishing a happy birthday. And then Justin Cody Willis has said, hi, Marie.
Yeah. Well, hey, why not hi Jennifer too? Jennifer too.
And then Randy's 76. She says, nice to catch me and happy birthday. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, and if you notice that we can bring up comments up here, we are able to see your comments in case you have comments. And if you hit the like or love button, or you hate us or that button, we can see that. I can actually, I don't know if Jennifer can see that, but I can see that
I can't see
that. Michael Rizzo likes us. So,
oh, hey,
so
Mike.
yeah, so we can see that you're watching us, and we really appreciate it that we have an audience, right, Jim?
Yeah.
So I know that
yeah.
I know that a lot of people have tuned in about your Mounjaro process, and we'll talk a little bit. Let's get you cued in to why you went on this to begin with, how the process happened, what was the discussion with your doctor?
Yeah, so I've been on a different type of journey the past almost year. I've been on a Mounjaro journey, and it's turned into a improving my life journey, so to say. So I'm type 2 diabetic, and I've been so for about 10 years or so. And when I was diagnosed, I cried because I'm a crier. But I knew it's in my genes, so I knew it was going to happen eventually. I had a great grandparent who lost a leg to type 2 diabetes, had poor vision, and I just knew other family members who tried hard to exercise and eat right and eat their oatmeal and their cinnamon and do their exercise diligently. You can't control your genes, so they still ended up with type 2 diabetes. Those family members are still with us. My great grandmother, obviously, she has passed away, but it always stuck in my mind that diabetes could lead to losing limbs, could lead to blindness. So when I was diagnosed, I was sad, and I was frustrated with myself because honestly, when you travel or when you work in travel, it's hard to put yourself first. It's hard to eat right. And I know that's an excuse, but so I was diagnosed 10 years ago or so. And the last couple of years, my A1C number, if you're diabetic, you know what an A1C number is. It basically measures your blood sugar for the last 90 days or so. It had been creeping up. And I know about last February or so was 8.8. My doctor, my general doctor, she eventually referred me to a endocrinologist, Dr. Madeira, who was with the Millennium Physicians Group in Port Charlotte. She's okay with me mentioning her name. But she looked over my numbers, and when I had that appointment with her, which was in June of 2022, I thought for sure she was going to put me on insulin. My A1C numbers were, it was 8.2 at that time, so it had gone down from 8.8 to 8.2. So I thought for sure she was going to put me on insulin, and I didn't want to be on insulin because I just thought that was going to be cumbersome, and oh my gosh, I'm going to have to carry insulin with me and find a refrigerator, and I just thought all the inconveniences of it as well, and why can't I be normal like everyone else, and why can't I eat a big piece of cake or eat the slices of bread or stuff, which I still do. So she prescribed a new medication to me called Mounjaro, and it had been recently approved by the FDA. And she told me that it was going to help lower my glucose numbers, lower my A1C, that it stimulated the liver to produce insulin, and that's how it controls the blood sugar, and that it prevents different spikes in blood sugar, that it's not going to give me lows, and it's not going to give me highs, that it's just going to ease it out. Now, before she gave me the prescription, she did have me on a glucose monitor for about 10 days or so she could see when my glucose was spiking and stuff. So along with the Mounjaro, she did give me insulin to take. And she said when my numbers were over 200 in the morning that I needed to take insulin. So I didn't want to take insulin at all. So I tried really hard, since I was prescribed Mounjaro, to not have my numbers in the 200s in the morning. And fast forward to now, so I've been on it, I guess, 9 months, 10 months now coming up, and the lowest my numbers have been in the morning are in the 80s. I still have those times when I'm in the low 100s. So this medication, my A1C last check the end of March was 6.1. So I've gone from 8.2 to 6.1, and 6.1 is considered pre-diabetic. Now, when I was prescribed the medication, I was also told that a side effect is weight loss. And you can't see how it's improved my life internally, but what you can see is the weight loss. So when I was prescribed it, I came home on the scale, I was 197. And this morning I was 137. So in that time, I've lost 60 pounds on this medication. So that's a nice side effect to have. There were some rough patches along the way because the side effect is nauseousness. I'm going to get personal here, constipation. I did have a day where I did get very sick. I threw up. And that's when I went home up to New York, and my mom made these delicious buttery butter things, and or butter pretzel things. And I ate too many. Ate too many for the new me. And that just made me sick. And also with this medication, I talked about how it stimulates the liver, but it also makes you feel fuller faster as well. So I've learned I've met with a nutritionist well before this, so I know what I should be eating. I know how I should be eating. So I've now been implementing what I learned with that nutritionist into this whole journey all along. I've also added in exercise, not really heavy exercise, but I have a dog, so I'm walking at least twice a day with him, but try to get, I like the Beachbody programs, and they have like PiYo, which is a combination of Pilates and yoga, or maybe I'll just do yoga or Pilates. I cut my own grass, do my own yard work, and the good old fashioned exercise is right there out in my yard and that. So I try to move as much as possible. So my dog,
and you kayak, and you are out there, you do hiking, and you're out in the woods a lot.
I am out in the woods. I grew up in Western New York, as you mentioned earlier, in Buffalo area, and my parents, they have several acres of land, including a wooded area, and I always loved playing in the woods. And I think that from being a little girl, that has still stuck with me as an adult, that I really connect with nature and that. So I enjoy being outside. And FWC, the Florida Wildlife Commission, they have, to my surprise, they're doing a scavenger hunt now through May 7th in the different wildlife management areas. So I did that over the weekend at the Babcock Webb Wildlife Management Area in Punta Gorda, and it's dog friendly. So I took Radcliffe, and it's a fun scavenger hunt. I can't remember the name, like Florida Wildlife Quest, but they have different tasks, like it's find a saw palmetto stand. So you take a picture of that and submit that into the app. But yeah, I am outside a lot, and tying in tourism and Florida, those of us who live in Florida, we're very fortunate because people save a year or maybe even a lifetime to come visit Florida, and we have all this opportunity in our backyard, and it doesn't necessarily need to cost a lot too, because we do have these great outdoor opportunities, whether they're wildlife management areas, state parks, national parks, or even county and city parks. There's so many wonderful opportunities here.
Have you found as you've lost the weight, were you having any joint issues beforehand? With you going kayaking and hiking, did it hurt?
I guess a little bit, like in my hip or my lower back, and that. And ironically, as I lost the weight, I certainly hope that I've plateaued, because I don't want to lose any more weight. I'm considered normal now by BMI standards, going from obese to normal now. I did have some back pain after I lost the weight, lower back pain, and that is one of the side effects of losing a lot of weight in a short period of time, is that because your muscles aren't used to that. But I don't have that anymore. I do feel that I'm more agile. I didn't think there was any. I don't think I was broken or there was something wrong with me before, but now that I can do certain things, even if it's like a sit up or just bending down to tie my shoes or crossing my legs or something, that was something I really I could do, but it was kind of bulky and awkward doing that. Now I can do it so much easier. And that's just kind of weird.
I wanted to talk to you about the process with the Mounjaro too, because one of the people that I know, she actually is a radio show host also. She tried that. Her doctor put her on it with and they had a rep with it, rep working with her too. They gave her the increase of dosage too fast, and she went off of it right away. She said, "I'm not taking this." Now, how did they graduate you into it? Did you reach a plateau and they'd increase the dosage?
Yeah, that's a great point. So when I was first prescribed, it was 2.5 milligram. That was a sample box that the doctor's office gave me. And then they wrote me a prescription for 5 milligrams. So 5 milligrams was my first dosage that I had to go to the pharmacy to pick up. So basically there are 4 pens, injection pens. So each week you do an injection, whether it's in the top of your thighs, your stomach, or have someone help you with the back of your arms. And so my doctor and the physician's assistant, Danielle, with her, I would stay in contact with them, and basically was, when I don't have the side effects, it was time to move up to the next dose. So I was on the 5 milligram dosage for 1 month, and I would do my injection, and about 24 hours, 36 hours later, I would feel a little nauseousness, just kind of a blah feeling, but it would pass. So after I finished up 1 month, I went up to the next dosage, which was 7.5. And I can't remember how long I was on that, maybe 2 months or so. And then I went up to the 10 milligrams. And I've been in the 10 milligrams for the most part, the longest. And because of supply chain issues, because doctors have been prescribing this off-label. They've been prescribing it specifically for weight loss for people who don't have diabetes, but that they should lose weight. It's been prescribed for weight loss. So that's caused a shortage with the supply. So I've had difficulty getting it. So basically, I put in an order with my pharmacy for the 10 milligram dose 2 weeks before I needed it. And when I went to go pick it up, which was 2 weeks. Well, it was 2 weeks after I ordered it, like the day that I needed it. They didn't have it. They had 5 milligrams. So I contacted my doctor's office to get the 5 milligrams. They didn't have 7.5, which would be the dose lower. And they also didn't have the next dosage up, which is 12.5. So I got the 5 milligrams. Meanwhile, 6 weeks after I placed that order for 10 milligrams, it finally came in. However, my doctor placed an order for 7.5 milligrams because she wanted me to go from 5 milligrams to 7.5 before going to 10. However, because the 10 was in stock, because it finally came in, I grabbed the 10. So I ended my second round of 5 milligrams yesterday, and then I started 10 milligrams today. So technically, I should have gone at 7.5 milligrams, but because of supply and not being there, and I didn't want to be on another dose of 5 milligrams, I went to 10. Whether I will get to 12.5, I'm not sure. It depends on my A1C, but also I don't want to lose any weight. And, the goal wasn't to lose weight. I had no idea that I'd be losing this much weight. When I was prescribed it, I was told that patients in the trial had lost significant amount of weight. And I asked, well, what is significant? And they said, oh, about 25 pounds. And I said, well, in my mind, I'm like, well, in what period of time and how big were those people and all that. And I also started documenting it on YouTube when I was first prescribed it. Just to, one, keep myself accountable, but to two, and kind of see, is this really true? Can you really lose a significant amount of weight? And it is. It is true.
Yeah, and I did want you to talk about the side effects to it, because it doesn't. It depends on your stamina, correct, and how much you can tolerate for doing that. I mean, your goal was to get your A1Cs down, where a lot of people that are trying to get their hands on it are looking at it for weight loss, and that wasn't what it was originally prescribed for. When we're talking about that, I want to let our audience know, we're going to play your video here and see the journey that Jennifer did, so you can see what she looked like. That's Radcliffe. So for people that are tuning in and just saw that, that's Jennifer's weight loss that she's just gone through. And that was remarkable, Jen. It really was.
Thank you. And I still can't believe it. When I was going through this journey, probably after like 30, 40 pounds, when I would go by the mirror, I'm like, who is that person? Or be in the bathroom at work, and I'm like, who is that? And I couldn't believe that was me. I can't believe that these are my arms. And now that I'm now used to seeing this person, when I look at photos of my former self, I can't believe that was me before. And I don't think that I look horrible then or bad then. It's just very different. And for my 50th birthday, I wanted to go on a big European adventure, but the pandemic happened. So I gave myself a luxurious photo shoot. And I just love those photos. But I was about 50, 60 pounds heavier. And I did do a photo shoot most recently, actually in February, on Valentine's Day. Self-love, to give myself a updated look, because I have changed so much
dramatically, but I never thought of you as being overweight, Jennifer. I never did. When I looked at you, I always thought you were athletic and in shape, enough. You were so active. So it depends on the mindset of people, of how the biggest thing that you had to do is change your outfits, your clothes. Yeah. How was that? Talk about that portion of it.
It's weird because it's a mindset, because I'm getting a little bit better when I go to the store. I go to the extra large and larges, and I'll still pick up large T-shirts, and when I put them on, I'm like, oh, they're still kind of big. I'm now like a size 8, 10, and I never imagined that I would ever be a size 8. Um, I don't think I've tried anything on that's a size small, because I just don't think I can fit into a small, but I will try on size medium and large. But my closet still has my size 16 or 18 size dresses in there. And then I just need to let them go. I need to go in and purge. And I don't, there's this concern what's going to happen when I am no longer on Mounjaro. How long I'll be on Mounjaro. I'm coming up on a year. And something we didn't talk about with Mounjaro is the cost and insurance coverage.
Oh, I did want to discuss that because
yeah. So this kind of ties in. Sure. So early on, and I know it's evolved and changed, but the drug manufacturer Eli Lilly issued a drug savings card of 20. So you could pay as little as $25 for a 1 month or a 3 month prescription for a year or so. Now you can't have any government assisted insurance like Medicare, Medicaid, or ACA insurance. So without insurance, Mounjaro can run anywhere from like $800 to $1,200 a month. That's a lot. I was in the pharmacy when I was picking up my 10 milligrams of Mounjaro, and someone on Medicare was picking up her Mounjaro for 2 months, and she was paying $2,000 out of pocket. The pharmacy tried different things, and she knew she had to pay the $2,000. So there is a savings card, and I was getting it for $25. Now, for whatever reason, I now pay just over $45 a month for it. And I talked to my insurance company, and I looked online, my insurance company. And so when the $25 savings card is no longer valid, I'll be paying just under $300 a month for it. Or for a 3-month supply, it'll be less than $700 for it for a 3-month supply. It'll save me about $60 if I use the 3-month option. And then I am pre-approved to use it from my insurance company until August. Whether they're going to pre-approve me or approve me to use it going forward, that'll just depend on, if I can get my A1C down, and I'm not sure how they will do that, determine that. But the medication, it looks like it is on track to be approved for weight loss by the end of the year, and it's my understanding from what I've read and seen in the news, which I guess, as we know, we can't always believe what we hear in the news, that the manufacturer is ramping up production to meet the supply needs. But getting back to my clothing is, if I'm no longer on Mounjaro, it's kind of like, well, am I still going to be able to maintain this size and this weight? And I understand how addicts work now, because it's like, oh, I need to have this fix. I need this to survive. But in reality, I don't, because I like to use the analogy of Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, when Glinda the Good Witch told her, how can you get home, is just click your heels 3 times, that you had the power to do it all along. So I know that I have the tools, so to say, to maintain a healthy lifestyle, that it's not necessarily Mounjaro that's made the fat dissolve. It's because I've changed my eating, I've increased my exercise and my movement. So getting back to my clothing, there's some things I don't want to let go, because I just really like them. I just like those dresses.
You can have somebody, make adjustments to them.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. That's true. But yeah, it's redoing my wardrobe slowly. I go to thrift stores, but sometimes you can get things for the same price, brand new, at a TJ Maxx, so to say, or Marshalls, or Burlington Coat Factory than you can at a Goodwill or a thrift store or something. So it's been an interesting journey with the clothing aspect, for sure.
I'm going to talk about the side effects that they have listed here. I don't know if you can see them on screen, but I want to discuss. Here's about you getting the Mounjaro savings card, and it talks about that. Here, if you go to their website, Mounjaro.com, and then the different processes of being eligible, and they have a starter kit in that, and to share your story. But I want to talk about the safety summary with warnings because, and I should have talked to you about this before we came on air, but it has one of the warnings: may cause tumors in the thyroid, including thyroid cancer. Watch for symptoms like lump in swelling in the neck, hoarseness, trouble swallowing, shortness of breath. I always look at the warnings on any medication anybody gives me. And do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because there was a little scare with you, right?
Yeah, there was a little scare. So the first day that I received my injection of Mounjaro, in the doctor's office, she felt a nodule on my thyroid, and I knew about the possible side effects, the possibility of thyroid cancer, and that was one of the questions of, does your family have a history of thyroid cancer? Not that I'm aware of. But she told me not to worry about it, and that to enjoy my summer, and then in the fall we'll have it evaluated, do a ultrasound or a scan or something. So I'm like, are you sure? She's like, oh no, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'm like, okay. So I went all summer waiting for the fall, and I wanted to get it done in August because I was looking at my schedule for September and it looked pretty crazy. She said, no, we have you in the books for the fall. I'm like, okay. Well, the end of September came, and Hurricane Ian came, and that disrupted all of our lives. So in December, I did have that scan, and a week later they called me and they said that they wanted to do a biopsy of it because it was a large large nodule on my thyroid. And so in March, because of our healthcare system, the way things work, in March, I was able to get in and have a biopsy, and thank goodness it was negative. So it's just something that's going to be monitored. But yeah, so it was there before the Mounjaro, and I don't know if it grew during the Mounjaro, but it's there. It's benign. So it's just something that, that my healthcare team is going to keep an eye on. But yeah, that's very important to bring up, that not everyone is going to be eligible for Mounjaro or similar medications like Ozempic, which is something comparable. Something my insurance, the copay is less with Ozempic than Mounjaro, and that might be an option too if they no longer.
Right, because Ozempic, in fact, I think a friend of mine is doing Weight Watchers, and I think they're getting injections too with Mounjaro. But he said that Ozempic is covered by Medicare. Mounjaro right now is not. So I don't know. And I want to disclose to our audience, I don't know the answers to all this. I just wanted to have Jennifer on here to get the story straight, because she's been on the national news a lot lately. And how everybody says, you can't trust the news. What they do is edit, and they cut out pieces. And they had you on Dr. Phil's, your clip on Dr. Phil's. They never even mentioned that you were diabetic. That's why you started. Correct? Am I correct on that?
Yes. So in September, I did an interview with the CBS Evening News, and apparently, when I signed my rights for CBS to use my likeness, that meant that they could just go. I don't know how it works, but anyway, someone told me they saw me on Dr. Phil, and I'm like, what? And so I found the clip, and it was basically a segment about dangerous diets. And so they had that segment of me on the CBS Evening News talking about how much weight I had lost, but there was no mention that I was on the medication for diabetes. And he had two women on his show who apparently had taken the same medication, but they weren't diabetic. And at least one of them ended up in the hospital because they weren't, using it properly and that. And then last Thursday, I was on the NBC Nightly News, and
Lester Holt, you were on Lester Holt's NBC, and then the next day you were on MSNBC.
Yeah, so because NBC is part of the MSNBC family, or MSNBC part of the NBC family. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So they took a clip, and I happened to be listening to it in the car, and they said one of the study participants. I'm like, I was never in a study. So I did reach out to the NBC team, and they said that they were going to make sure that moving forward, that whoever the host was or correspondent, they would make sure that they did not call me a study participant. But we shall see.
Yeah, well, we wanted to make those
Yes,
corrections here so
absolutely.
people were aware she was not in a study.
Yep.
She went on to Mounjaro for her diabetes type 2. Type 1 diabetics cannot take this.
Right.
This will kill them. Yeah.
Exactly.
But and my son is type 1, so and
Oh,
he does several injections a day. Yeah, before
blame her.
he can eat and that. So. Uh, because of health reasons, that is why you took it. It wasn't about weight loss, it was about your diabetes. And I just want our audience to understand that and the side effects, if you go to their website, take a look at what the side effects is it worth the risk? You're taking it, if you're taking it for diabetes, the original reason for it, and you have trouble, the side effect, because I don't know what the side effect is on regular insulin. And just like you, it runs in my family. My grandmother went blind from it. And it's on both sides of my family. I am considered just over the threshold right now. And I know if I lose weight, and everybody, it's not that easy to lose weight. If it's in your genes and it runs in you, and the food that I'm not one that sits down and eats all the time and that, but I don't metabolize either, as well as other people do. Jen, what else would you like to tell people about your life? And what do you have coming up as a solo travel girl? What's your next adventure?
So first, I want to just specify, and I guess I should have said this in the beginning, that I'm not a medical professional, and this is the disclaimer that I give at the beginning of my videos, that I'm not a medical professional, and I'm just sharing my personal experience and opinions about Mounjaro, and also that I am not a spokesperson for Mounjaro, and they do not compensate me at all. I don't even think they know I exist. But my adventure, I have a trip planned the end of May. I'm actually going back up to the Smokies. I do a lot of traveling with my dog, and he and he's the first dog that I've had that he's mine. I mean, I grew up with dogs, but there were family dogs, and when I was married, we had dogs, but he's the first dog that he's all my dog and that. So, and he's getting up there in age, so I just like to have little adventures with him. So, I like using a website called Hip Camp, and it's basically like the camping version of Airbnb. So we're going to a goat farm in Tallahassee for a couple nights, and then going to a new campground in Tennessee that's a glamping experience with a tent that has all the amenities inside. And then it's going to sound goofy. I don't know, maybe not goofy. I'm going to Dollywood for a day.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'd like to go there.
I've never been, and I don't know if you know this, but they have a kennel called Doggy Wood. So I have a reservation for Radcliffe. He's going to be at Doggy Wood during the day, and I'll check on him throughout the day so he can chill out in the kennel while I'm out in the theme park. We're spending the night in Gatlinburg, and then heading to the Elkmont Campground in Great Smoky National Park on the early beginning of the bioluminescent fireflies. So for several years, I've been wanting to see these bioluminescent fireflies. And a friend of mine says, remember we saw them? And I really don't remember. I remember going in the park with her, and it was during a thunderstorm and tree branches falling and stuff. So maybe I was more mindful of that. But the Smokies is one of the few places in the United States where you can see these bioluminescent the fireflies that are in synchronized. That's it, not bioluminescent. All fireflies are bioluminescent, but the synchron, I can't pronounce it. But anyway, so all the fireflies they light up at once. And the Park Service, there's Radcliffe. The Park Service, they have a lottery for people to go in there. But if you're staying at the campground, you don't need a lottery. So, I'm sorry for Radcliffe. But
that's okay.
The fireflies, they might be there when I'm there, so my fingers are crossed that I'll get to see the fireflies. And then I'll be heading back. I'm part of Leadership Charlotte this year, and our gala is actually on June 3rd. And it's going to be the Shagadelic Shindig. It's an Austin Powers theme. So I need to be back for our gala. So that's my trip in the short term. Beyond that, I'm not sure. As we talked before, my new job.
Are you there? Yeah.
Yeah, Radcliffe is barking. So there's construction going on across a lot across the street from me is being cleared. So I think that's what he's barking at.
And where did you get Radcliffe?
I adopted him from the Sebring Animal Shelter in Highlands County. I had no intention of adopting a dog because I traveled so much, and I was on Facebook scrolling, and for whatever reason he caught my eye, and he was basically on the kill list for that week, and how he needed to be saved. And he was this little terrier, and
you can bring him over. You can bring him over on screen.
He's in the garage barking now.
Oh, okay. Just for everybody to know, you're listening to us on WKDW 97.5 FM Rural Community Radio out of Northport, Florida. I actually live in Port Charlotte, Florida, and Jennifer, you live in Northport, and you're listening to us on the Bishop West Real Estate Tower. It's always a pleasure when I always have a friend on or somebody that I know, but an important subject that we wanted to correct for everybody out there because of the clips that we've been seeing, and because I knew Jennifer's journey before it was starting to show up on national news, and I go, whoa, mama, we got to get this stuff corrected because they're not portraying. And that's how news media does skew things. And that's why a lot of us don't trust, including myself. I mean, I do news here, I do shows, but it's through the person's own words. I don't make up the stuff that they're saying, and that's what we wanted to do, is tell the truth through Jennifer's own story, right?
My own story. Yeah. And those interviews that I had at CBS, they spent 2 hours with me, and probably what you saw was 30 seconds. NBC was made about 20, 30 minutes, and the result was about 30 seconds, maybe 60 seconds. So I appreciate this time, Marie.
Yeah, well, and I don't want to edit anything, and I want the truth to be told through your words, and to realize there are side effects to it, and to be careful and to watch out, and for having the right professional working with you to make sure that they're monitoring how the injections, because like you were saying, there's different sizes to it of injections, and how difficult, because they are, I don't know, did they approve it already for weight loss?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, it looks like it's going to be approved by the end of the year for weight loss, though.
And when that happens, maybe the price will come down. But also, if it's a health benefit for you now, go ahead. And my doctor did talk to me about it when it first came out, maybe even the Ozempic one. And I said, I don't want to do an injection, but she said it has weight loss as a side effect. And that's why she was talking to me about it. But it was a couple of years ago. So it might have been the other one that she was talking about. And she said, I said, I can't afford that. I can't afford $1,100 a month because Medicare doesn't pay for it. I said, to me, I've been like this most of my life, and although I would need to, I do know that I need to lose weight. People, I do know that. I don't have to be told that, right? Right, Jennifer, when you're overweight, you don't have to be told.
Well, it's like I never really thought about losing weight until I had to go to the doctor. I'm like, oh gosh, I have a doctor's appointment. I better lose 20 pounds before I go or something, or
Right. Before you go, or before you go on a scale, that you go to the doctor's office and they weigh you. What difference does it make that you got your shoes on or not,
Exactly.
because
My little check.
it's like your shoes are coming off, and I do it all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm guilty in that, and you want to hold on the bars that they hold
Yes.
you so you weigh less, but it doesn't make less of who you are, right?
Right. Exactly.
Thank you so much for joining me today. And we were able to actually stream this to Jennifer's pages too. So thank you for doing that. StreamYard has a way of you being able to stream to your guest pages too. And it wasn't that hard, was it, Jen?
No, really easy. I've used StreamYard before, but this is, yeah, as a guest, it's been really easy.
Yeah, and to
StreamYard's
be,
awesome.
yeah. So to all of you out there, we'd like to thank you for tuning in today. We'd like to thank Jennifer for taking the time out of her busy day, and you work for a big corporate company that in Florida, and it's up to you if you want to say who you work for or not. But to our guests, our audience, there are choices in life you can make to be kind or not to be kind. What do we always choose, Jen?
Be kind.
Be kind and pay it forward. And, life's too short, and it's so ugly out there lately, with people being radical about different things. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy days to come in and listen to us on Sleuthing Eye-Opening Tales of the Past. See you again next week. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.